there is a whole new demographic that's occurring between the ages of 30 and probably 49, where these young women are getting lung cancer for absolutely no reason. They have no family history, no smoking history.
Hello, everybody. Josh Rubenstein, Media Director for Kaiser Permanente, Southern California. And this is another KP Candid Conversations. These are intimate conversations with our physicians, our staff, our experts about their background, their experience, their commitment to medical excellence and caring for our communities. And we explore important health topics. And today we're talking about lung cancer. Now, we all think about lung cancer and we all probably believe it's connected to smoking. But you're going to be surprised to find out who actually is contracting this disease now. Dr. Hussain, tell me a little bit first about your background and how you became a physician. When did you want to become a doctor?
Oh, that's funny because I have horrible handwriting. So a lot of people would say, "Hey, you're going to be a doctor. I know you're going to be a doctor." And so it was just that's a silly story, but I always really was gravitated towards helping people, sciences. I liked just the idea that you could actually make a difference in someone's life. You can talk to them, you could explore what's really going on in their life, and do something to help them. So it just really just actually came through. And then I went to UC Irvine for college, and they have a great biologic science program. So I got introduced to a lot of different elements of science, of pathophysiology, and I really liked it. And I volunteered and did a bunch of stuff in the hospital and did some research, in the medical school. They have a medical school there. So that helped kind of introduce medicine into me as a career. And I really liked the mentors that I had, really enjoyed working with them. So applied to med school, went to UC San Francisco Medical School, and then went to UC San Diego for my residency. I'm kind of like a UC girl, UC Irvine, UC San Francisco, UC San Diego, and I stayed local. I have family nearby, so I started working for Kaiser back, I think, in 1999. So I've been there
Wow.
a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. What was it about Kaiser Permanente that drew you in?
It was the collegiality, really, the very nice, organized, great network that everybody has, and everybody's just wonderful, very approachable. The specialists are great. You can talk, you can get informal consultations, you can run your cases, and they also just are really helpful. They take care of their patients. Everybody just rallies around the patient and says, "Hey, look, doesn't matter what else is going on. Let's just take care of the patient. Let's just get it done. Let's just take care of them." And that's what I've really enjoyed about working at Kaiser. The people, the doctors, the nurses, the lab techs, everybody's just wonderful. And of course, the patients, they're
Mhm.
fantastic. I love my patients. I've been in the same sort of patient. I've kind of grown old with my patients. I'm not old, but I'm getting older and I'm growing with my patients. And I really like that about it.
So tell me about your specialty, and you specialize in lung cancer. Is that
No,
correct?
I specialize in internal medicine,
It's
which is
internal medicine.
more of
Okay.
a general back, it's mostly adult focused. I don't see kids. Don't know anything about kids, not even my own. So
We
be
we
honest.
won't put that on. Oh no, actually we can.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The teenage years are really brutal, I tell you. But yeah, I do only adults and mostly older adults. I was a hospitalist at one point, or not a hospitalist,
Mhm.
but I was working in the hospital doing a lot of the inpatient care through the internal medicine department, and it was fantastic. I love making a difference there. I
You like the
moved to the
variety of
clinic.
that?
I
You-
loved it. Oh, it was fantastic. But I had to make a choice to stay grounded and to be able to take care of my three children. I had twins, mid career, and it was just really tough to navigate. Also, I decided to go only focus in the hospital. So I see a lot of the complicated patients in a clinic setting, and I do that basically Monday through Friday, and I take some call and do some urgent care on the weekends.
but an area that we are interested in here is lung cancer in particular, um, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, um, you say that there is this new segment of people that you are seeing that are being diagnosed with lung cancer,
Mhm.
um, that have no real reason to have lung cancer, right?
Yeah.
The traditional things that you would think that someone would have lung cancer for, correct?
Absolutely. I know that professionally and I know it personally. But I have diagnosed quite a few women with lung cancer, and that has been a huge, huge shift in the demographic of patients who get lung cancer. Historically, it was a male who was a smoker, and that's really just not the case anymore. There is a whole new demographic that's occurring between the ages of 30 and probably 49, where these young women are getting lung cancer for absolutely no reason. They have no family history, no smoking history. Really, just it's not clear why. They all present in various different ways. Usually, it's I can't, I'm just having this weird allergy, weird coughing, and this weird infections. I keep getting them over and over and over and over. And so those are the big tip-offs that there is a concern in the segment. And when you screen, you do find quite a bit of lung cancer that was unpredictable.
Want to talk about that.
Hmm.
When someone comes in and gets screened for some type of a cancer,
Hmm.
or when someone comes in with these kind of mysterious symptoms,
Hmm.
um, the first place you go is not cancer, right? You go for
No,
some of
of course
the
not.
other
Yeah.
things, right? And I
Exactly.
assume
Yeah.
that that journey to get to a cancer diagnosis
Yeah.
is somewhat long and turning, correct?
It is, and I think that's where awareness, lung cancer awareness in this, especially in this population, or just in general in smokers, is very, very important. So I think education of all of our physicians, of our support staff, and of course of our patients and the entire area of the population is very important because if you don't suspect it, you ain't going to find it. That's really just the
Mm.
bottom line. And even if you do find it, you might blow it off because it just doesn't look that bad. And I can get into more specifics later, but you really have to have a suspicion, and you really have to have a sense that something just doesn't feel right. And you have to go with your gut, and you have to actually go forward and work it up. And I think that's really the key message here is awareness that if you have a lot of recurrent infections, you don't feel well, something just feels off and you don't know why, you should see your doctor and we should do a screening chest x-ray. That doesn't always find it, but it can help us, in the right direction. And if we're really not sure, then we do a CT scan. That would be the way to work it up. But really, all those tests are very later because you have to suspect it. If it sounds like a horse, it's a horse, but sometimes it isn't. It's a zebra, and you have to have that acumen to pick that up.
We talk about that a lot, that you got to listen to your body,
Hmm.
that don't ignore those signs.
Hmm.
Um, Tell me, it's got to be the worst feeling in the world when you have to deliver that kind of news to someone who is
It's
least suspecting.
incredibly hard. It's one of the things that yeah, that I absolutely feel horrified to have to do. But obviously with grace we do it. Also telling anybody that they have a few months to live, that just really that takes it out of me. But it is very tough. It's an honest conversation. And for me, it helps my own personal journey because it helps me to connect. And I can say, look, I know what you're going through. These are the steps. This is what you got to do medically, but this is what you got to do emotionally and with your family. You need your support. And this is what I suggest you do. And this is how you take care of yourself. You start juicing, you start eating healthy, you start exercising, even if it's hard, you do it. And those are the things I think that make a difference in the outcomes of patients. And that's what makes it a privilege for me to be in the field of work that I do. I particularly like the clinic because you really get to know your patients, you get to bond with them. But when I do have to tell them about their diagnosis, it is incredibly hard. I have to muster up the strength to go in there without tears in my eyes, and just keep it very, very, hey, it's going to be all right. You're going to go through this. You're going to get this. It's going to be all right. We'll fight it.
And Dr. Hussain, you just sort of hinted at it a little bit. I'd like to explore it a little bit more. You have your own journey here, and lung cancer
Hmm.
is near and dear to you. Why?
Yes. Yes, because I was one of these young women in the demographic between 30 and 49. I won't say where I was, but I was in that demographic. And I basically have been pretty healthy all my life. I'd never had asthma, never. I was just really, really healthy. And I was just doing a lot of things at the time. I had a child. I was, trying to remodel my house. I mean, there were just so many different things I was doing. And I thought, oh, I'm just tired. I'm just tired. It's just what it is. I kept blowing it off. And I started getting very bad allergies. I started getting asthma that was out of nowhere. And then it wasn't just asthma, it was uncontrolled. Like it just progressed and progressed. And I said, something isn't right. And I went to my allergist. God bless her. She did some basic office testing and said, you don't have asthma. You have something very different. It's a restrictive lung disease. Your lungs don't expand right. And I was like, why would I have that? So one thing led to another, and we did a chest X-ray, which showed nothing. Actually, it was perfectly normal, and it can be. So then we ordered a CT scan because the restriction didn't make any sense. What's going on? When we did, I'm sorry, the CT scan, we found a 1.2 centimeter lung mass in my left lung. And just everyone thought it was nothing. They're like, you can't have lung cancer. This is back when the awareness, was just starting that this is developing in young women. And so they're like, you don't have lung cancer. I'm sure it's just a little, you had a pneumonia or something and it's going to go away. So we waited 3 months and we did another CT scan. It was still there. And that's when I became uncomfortable. I said, no, I'd really like to biopsy this thing. And nobody argued. They said, let's do it. We did a CT guided biopsy, and the tissue came back positive for adenocarcinoma. And so that's where my journey began.
And tell me, as a fellow cancer survivor, I too,
Oh my gosh.
um, hearing that positive diagnosis has feels like the world's kind of crashing down on you, right?
It really did. I felt like I was in a movie is the best way I can explain it. I was in the bank. My pulmonologist called me really like, I'm so sorry. I don't, flabbergasted, and I was talking to him, and then this teller that I know, he goes, "Are you okay?" And I just looked at him and I went, "I have cancer." And he was like, "What?" And so I felt like I was in some movie, really, and it took me a while to process it. And I went home. I told my husband, I was just kind of like, what?" And then, once I wrapped my head around it, things moved really fast. And of course, everybody was great. They got me to where I needed to go, and I have had half of my, it's three-quarter, most of my left lung removed, and it was curative. And I was one of the very lucky ones, very lucky.
That's amazing. And it's amazing that you can find that cancer, when you get that diagnosis, it is not the end. There are plenty of paths forward, and I think people need to understand that, right?
Absolutely. I think that's why it's so important to screen, because lung cancer is probably the leading cause of death and mortality in the world now. And I think that's because the other cancers have caught up on screening and treatment and just early diagnosis. Lung cancer and pancreatic cancer, for that matter, they're both very tough to detect unless you become symptomatic. And by the time you become symptomatic, it may have spread. So your suspicion has to be high before you really let it get far in terms of the symptoms that you have. So, early detection is the key in this matter. And I was just really fortunate that things just fell into place and we found it. But a lot of people aren't. They do find it very late in the game. I had a relative who, not related to me, but distant relative, who actually had metastatic lung cancer by the time it was found, and he waited way too long to see his doctor. So that's my big message: is go see your doctor. If you have something, talk with about them, especially if you're a smoker, especially if you're in the age of 30 to 49 and you're a woman. Take it seriously, get in there, get screened, go talk to your physician. And if something's not right, it's not right. Listen to your body. Your body is telling you something. Take a hint. It may be stress, sure,
Mhm.
but it may be something else. So I think, yeah, it's been a really great journey. And just having gone through that, I feel like I can relate to my patients. So going back to your question about how do you tell somebody, I say,
Mhm.
look, this is what you have. I'm heartbroken too, but we're going to get this. We're going to nail this. We just need to get on it, and you just have to do these things. And taking care of yourself is a big one. So yeah, that's kind of my journey.
to know that you have a team behind you is so critical, right? To know that
Hmm.
they're that you're not alone in this, and I assume that that's part of that when you're talking to a patient, when when you're experiencing it. I
Hmm.
think you just said you're not alone, and I think
You're
that
not
that's
alone.
pretty critical, right?
Yeah, and I think that that is my contribution to people's lives. Of course, I can diagnose, I can do the I can do all that, but I think the real thing that makes it good for my patients is that I am there, and when they call or they really having trouble, we talk, and I say, look, this isn't the end. You really just need somebody who's going to rally behind you and sit you down and give you a perspective when you're feeling sorry for yourself or when you're having a bad day. And I think I'm not going to say that I can answer every phone call every minute anyone calls, but I do connect with my patients and I do see them frequently. And we sit down and we talk. And I had a patient who I diagnosed a little while back, about almost no, about a year and a half ago, and it was a totally really big zebra. I mean, out there,
Hmm.
and she and I still talk about this, and she connects, we connect. And I wanted to point out a resource that's available to lung cancer patients that
Yeah,
I don't think
please.
people know about. It's
Yeah,
called the
please.
White Ribbon Project, and I myself wasn't aware until I became a cancer patient. It's a organization that was started by a young couple who just had some near and dear experiences, and they wanted to support the lung cancer community. So they started the White Ribbon Project, and they basically go around giving like the breast cancer ribbon. It's white.
Mhm.
It's a white ribbon. So there's possibilities of filling that ribbon up with whatever you want to do. It's a paper ribbon or a cardboard ribbon, and it's given to people who have lung cancer to remind them, hey, you got this. You got a community behind you. It's a great support group, and it has a lot of great resources. They have I believe, it's like a Zoom meeting that they have with all the lung
Mhm.
cancer survivors. So people talk to each other and really support one another, and I think that's so critical.
I'm assuming that you shouldn't go to Google and try and figure it out yourself, right?
No, I disagree with you. I think you
Really? Tell
should.
me. Good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I
Please.
completely disagree with you. I think being
Okay, good.
informed, I think learning things, I think knowing what you got and what other people are experiencing, and just connecting with people, connecting with your cancer. That's a good way to say it. Connect with your
That's good.
cancer.
Because you hear so many times, don't go to Google because it's all the worst case
No.
scenarios, and you're gonna, But I like that you say go ahead and do your research.
Do your research and then go find someone who's your cheerleader, who or your advocate. Go find
Mhm.
someone. It could be your parent, it could be your teacher, it could be your it could be your doctor for sure. Obviously, make sure you find a doctor
Love
that's your
that.
advocate that you really like and can connect with. I tell people that, cancer is the best thing that ever happened to me because it actually made me really take a hard look at who I am, what I want to do with my life, and how I want to live. And it made me change a whole bunch of things that have made me a much, much better person and a happier person. And I can really connect with my patients. So the patient that I diagnosed, we just really connected. And then she had a student who did the White Ribbon Project, and he came and gave me a white ribbon. I don't know the man, but he came and gave me this white ribbon and said, I'm part of this project and I want to just, talk with you. And just, it was so sweet. And it was really a great experience. And I realized I want to be a part of that community building experience and help and just guide others who might have to go through this journey.
I love that. How do you screen for lung cancer?
Screening is basically a chest x-ray for just symptoms for people with symptoms, but it is really a CT scan. That is the best way to screen. And we do that routinely for anyone who is a smoker that has smoked 20 pack years, meaning you've smoked the equivalent of 20 packs a year. Um, and they're between the ages of 50 and 80. So if you do that, you miss all the women between 30 and 45, right? But so that is a little, I think that needs to be relooked at in some ways and add women to that screening, those screening parameters. But the smoking is the issue, and for this
Mhm.
screening parameter, if you are a smoker, man, woman, don't matter. If you are a smoker, you've smoked significantly, even if you've quit about 15 years ago, you are still at risk. And so we screen those folks with a CT scan.
Perfect. Perfect. Dr. Tanveer Hussain, thank you so much. I'm blown away at your journey, but more importantly, hearing about these, women that are being diagnosed that have no history of smoking, to know that there is something and a path forward is really critical.
Absolutely. Cancer is curable if you catch it early. So